فهم يؤمنون وما أرسلنا قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون وما جعلناهم جسدا لا يأكلون الطعام وما كانوا خالدين ثم صدقناهم الوعد فأنجيناهم ومن نشاء وأهلكنا المسرفين لقد أنزلنا إليكم كتابا فيه ذكركم أفلا تعقلون كم قصمنا من قرية كانت ظالمة وأنشأنا بعدها قوما آخرين فلما أحسوا بأسنا إذا هم منها يركضون لا تركضوا وارجعوا إلى ما أترفتم فيه ومساكنكم لعلكم تسألون.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Jummah Mubarak. May this day bring its blessings for all of us, spiritually, physically, emotionally, psychologically, in all ways, inshallah. Today we will start with juz number 17. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. The time of their account has approached for the people while they are heedless turning away. Surah Al-Anbiya is a Meccan surah. It was revealed in the latter part of the Makki time of the Holy Messenger in Makkah, and it mentions 17 prophets, and it mentions about how Allah has deliverance of each of them from the particular difficulties when they were faced with in bringing Islam, in bringing Allah's words towards them. So it's a beautiful surah. It's a newfound love for me. When I was going through this surah, although before I didn't have that connection with Surah Al-Anbiya, but I don't know, this time when I was just going through my notes and I was like, wow, there's so much to it. And there's a certain subtle, if you may allow me to use this word, beat in the surah. Inshallah, I, with Allah's will try to bring this to you, this feeling to you. But it speaks about 17 prophets and how they went through their trial. And when it talks about the reasons of rejection, of course, that's been a reoccurring theme. But there's something about this surah which just kind of brought that honest, that feeling of wanting to return to it and go back to it. And this is the recitation that I just shared with you right now. There's another reciter that I have found recently in Ramadan called Islam Sobi. I will also share his recitation with you. I found him through, there's a WhatsApp group chat called Imam Raza Shrine group chat, where they share certain recitations, du'as, also live coverage from the Roza itself. And it was really beautiful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen for all of these guidance, recitations, and above all, this affinity that Allah has given us towards his book and remembrance. May this remembrance and book become truly our noor and guide for us in this world and the hereafter, inshallah. So ayat number 1 to ayat number 33 is a reminder for us. I will request someone to help me read from 1 to 33. I'm just going to read till ayat number 4, and then I will just ask someone to read. So if you can put it on the chat who would like to read from 1 to 33. I'm just going to read till ayat number 1. Ayat number 4. اقترب للناس. The time of their account has approached. اقترب means like it's approaching and it's close. And it has approached as in it is already approached. Yani qiyamah and the realm of accountability for us to see in the hereafter is already approached in the sense it's accessible to all of us. But with spiritual wayfaring, we can have access to our book of accountability. If not, then in as we go through the physical death, we will be able to witness this accountability and how it will take place. However, if we pay a little bit more attention and be more reflective, I think we are able to see our own accountability every night before we go to sleep. I liked how Umi Auntie said once that if you can see yourself in the mirror before you go to sleep and you can see straight into your eyes and say, just tell yourself that today's day was a day where I was able to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and I was able to remember him and recount his blessings and his mercy for me, is a day that you have accounted for, and a day that you are unable to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I have been able to remember and recount and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a day that you are counting for your actions. And I really like that and it stuck with me. So the time of their account is approached for the people while they are heedless, turning away. وَهُمْ فِي غَفْلَةٍ مُعْرِضُونَ. I wanted to speak a little bit about ghafla. Ghafla here means deliberately ignoring the warning, the accounting that's coming our way. Imam Hassan alayhi salam has said, a believer does not occupy himself with amusement lest he becomes negligent. So what is it that keeps them, what is it that keeps us heedless and turning away from the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all forms and ways? And not here, it's not about zikr, it's about accountability. What keeps us away from accounting before it's accounted for is ma yatihim min dhikrin min rabbihim. No mention comes to them anew from their Lord except that they listen to it while they are at play. So istama'a means to listen, listening, but in a form of just playing, as in not taking it seriously, listening and playing on the phone, and like an I don't care attitude or whatever attitude. I myself is guilty of this, listening but not having an I don't care attitude and not being serious. Going to lecture, going to a course or whatever, you're on your phones and you're just giving a like a view, or in the Quran, even when the Quran is going on and it's like a background where we are in the act of yal'abun, laib. So the two words which I wanted to bring to your attention, so if you see ayat number 1, 2 and 3 together in one go, lahiyatan qulubahum, with their hearts distracted, and those who do wrong conceal their private conversations. So, and their hearts are distracted. So there are two reasons for heedlessness, ghafla, in Surah Al-Anbiya. It starts with this. And because the surah stone starts with this, that means the surah has a lot of warning in it. And so ghafla, the reasons for ghafla can be two. One, they turn away from ghafla because number one, istamau wa hum yalabun, because the hearing is not seriously hearing. It's hearing in that non-serious attitude that we have to do it, and it's just that laib, serious, non-serious attitude. And lahiya comes from lahwa. If the ya and the people who are in grammar would know. So it's actually coming from lahwan, lahiya. It's become the ya because of the grammars. I will not even try to say why the wow has the ya and all of that. Lahiya means, lahwan means, and I'm going to just go ahead and read to you a tafsir about these verses. Very, very interesting point which was made. I did send it to myself. Yes. Would anybody like to read these notes of these two verses, because it just brings everything together and we'll save time? Yes. Would anybody like to read it?
I can read.
Gigi, go ahead. Bismillah. Who is the first person before Tanya? Tanya is our...
Mariam.
Mariam, I want to save you to help us read from 1 to 33. Is there a new volunteer in the meeting today who would like to read these notes? All right, I'm not going to waste time. Just when human beings constantly engage in trivial.
I can do it.
Bismillah, come on. Salaam alaikum, everyone. Sisters, come on, Bismillah. Yes, Atika, would love you to help us read this notes from for these two ayats. Ji, Atika?
Hello, can you hear?
Ji, you can hear.
Okay. When human beings constantly engage in trivial matters and allow these to preoccupy their minds, it becomes difficult to give serious matters due consideration. Even when issues of great importance are being discussed, the hearts remain unaffected. This is because of the state of heedlessness that is created by continuous immersion in small and petty matters. This verse talks about a certain type of reaction to the message of God. The receivers of the message listen, but their state of listening does not allow the message to enter into their heart and mind. It falls, as they say, on deaf ears. Allama Tabatabai in Al-Mizan describes the state of such listeners. He says the verse shows two different conditions of these people. The first is laib, playing, an action which has no real aim or goal. It is just done in jest, is imaginary, illusory, done only for immediate amusement. An example is children's play. The second is lahu, preoccupation and diversion. He says this means the heart is distracted with small things and is thus unable to handle larger issues. Many of us are often engaged physically and mentally in matters that could just be preoccupations. We fill life with a lot of stimulation that is empty and meaningless. Over time, this leads to a state where nothing is really serious anymore. We are not able to pay attention properly, do a lot of long-term thinking, or focus on things that really matter. Imam Hassan says, a believer does not occupy himself with amusement lest he becomes negligent. The present culture around us glorifies distraction and makes them seem appealing. Have fun, enjoy life, and be merry. All this may be good, but it has its own time and place. It is definitely not good for long periods of time. The constant culture of distraction is almost like a training of a brain, a training to focus on trivial matters and diversions. The more the brain does this, the less likely it is to be serious. The quote below encapsulates this as well. I'd argue that what's happening is that we're becoming like the malformed weightlifter who trains only their upper body and has tiny little legs. We're radically overdeveloping the parts of quick thinking, distractible brain and letting the long form thinking, creative, contemplative, solitude seeking, thought consolidating pieces of our brain atrophied by not using them. And to me, that's both sad and dangerous. It is worth thinking about this matter seriously. Being constantly distracted is an unseemly state for the mind, with a lot of wider repercussions for the individual, family, society, and the world at large. That is why it's better for believers to stay away from certain types of entertainment and music, drinking, gatherings, certain gatherings, etc. It may be enjoyable for a while, but is deadly for the intelligent. It leads to the crisis in the attention that the world is witnessing presently. Use this verse to remind yourself that it is necessary to be serious sometimes. Don't let the culture of distractions delude you into thinking that seriousness is dark and glooming. It actually lifts the veil of darkness and allows the light in.
Thank you so much, Atika. Beautifully read. And so it brings us back to this understanding what the Quran is saying here is that this heedlessness and distraction happens when we make the mundane activities or not the life and the play and the life, which is the normal things which are okay to do. It is okay to do, but it kind of distracts us diverts us from the true purpose, which is to be able to reflect and contemplate and so on. And so, sorry, and so what's important here is this one point that Imam Ali says that detachment is not you should own nothing, but that nothing should own you. And so not called to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not called us to reject the blessings of our worldly life, but rather we are reminded to not become enslaved by our loves. So what distracts us and keeps us in heedlessness is this connection where the libe here is the
it's like imaginatory, like my car, my house, the my's and the I's, and then that distracts us, and then the pleasures which come along with it makes us. So no one is saying not to enjoy and all that, but everything done in a way, in a perspective and a mindset that this has its place, but there's a higher purpose and a higher order and a higher reason and a purpose of my life, not that I have to distract and do. And sometimes distractions, and in the Urafa, they give a prescription that even if you have to do things which, lighthearted things, which essentially will not are there, but they're there for a reason to kind of help you, clear, refresh yourself so you can go back to the real purpose and the real work to do, is then to compensate that if I am watching maybe an hour of TV or 2 hours of sports or whatever it is, that I would compensate with that much time in dhikr. It's a protocol, it's a practice. And then I've noticed that the more we give it, and I noticed it's so much easier, like 2 hours in reflecting in Quran in Ramadan versus just watching some sitcoms and, just watching some sessions, dramas or whatever for an hour and 2 hours, and we don't know about it. So the yearning, may Allah give us that yearning to long and yearn for his words, and that we find that heart's contentment in his remembrance and zikr, and that the other things don't supersede this pleasure, that we will constantly want to go back to this pleasure. And that's what the tone of this surah is, and then on. Yes, Mariam, can I request you to read? And then so the ayat ends by saying that ayat number 3, is this prophet acceptable? So, and those who do wrong conceal their private conversations, saying, is this prophet except a human being like you? So would you approach magic while you are aware of it? So what it means is that they would go into their private conversations and they would convince those who might be even thinking about it a little bit about Islam, and they would pull themselves out and say, oh, don't get affected by all of this. This is it's just words and it's just magic. So, pulling them. And so here the Holy Messenger has been asked to say by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Qala Rabbi ya'lamul qawla fi samai wal ardi wa huwa as-sami'ul alim. Al-qawla, so the Prophet said, my Lord knows whatever is said throughout the heavens and the earth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, wherever your words reach, know that Allah is aware of every word that has been spoken publicly or privately. What is the connection with the aforementioned ayat of heedlessness, and what keeps us into heedlessness is our words. And so it has an effect on our heart. And so there's a hadith by Imam al-Bakr that says, sincerely, this tongue is the key to all good and all evil. So it befits a believer to guard it with the way he would guard his gold and silver. A very difficult practice to do, to guard your tongue by first speaking, staying away from the harams of the tongue, and doing staying away from backbiting, gossiping, slandering, unethical talks. And then obviously the higher states of silence is that being able to. And so there's a protocol here. In order for us to not be the ones who are heedless, to be able to pay attention to the qawl, the heard word and the said word. Just in simple, in summary form, what we hear has an effect and what we say has an effect. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that what we call of is samai wal ard. So what you're saying essentially will reach the words where your words reach. Allah knows, and in this age and day of social media, that our words can reach far and wide. Alhamdulillah, we have a sister from Georgia. I think Zamina, you're from Georgia, US, right? And then we've got someone from Arusha and Africa and so on and so forth. So may our words reach, may these words that are by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reach people's heart, which bring people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather the other way, inshallah. So it was a beautiful beginning of Surah Al-Anbiya and so much more, but just wanted to pay attention to these 4 ayats. And now we will read from ayat number 1 to ayat number 33. Yes, Mariam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The time of their account has approached for the people while they are in heedlessness turning away. No mention, that is, revelation comes to them anew from their Lord, except that they listen to it while they are at play. with their hearts distracted, and those who do wrong conceal their private conversation, saying, "Is this prophet except a human being like you? So would you approach magic while you are aware of it?" He, the Prophet ﷺ, said, "My Lord knows whatever is said throughout the heaven and earth, and He is the hearing, the knowing." But they say, "The revelation is but a mixture of false dreams. Rather, He has invented it. Rather, He is a poet. So let Him bring us a sign, just as the previous messengers were sent with miracles." Not a single city which we destroyed believed before them. So will they believe? And we sent not before you, O Muhammad ﷺ, except men to whom we revealed the message. So ask the people of the message, that is former scriptures, if you do not know. And we did not make them, that is the prophets, forms not eating food, nor were they immortal on earth. Then we fulfilled for them the promise, and we saved them and whom we willed, and destroyed the transgressors. And we have certainly sent down to you a book, that is the Quran, in which is your mention. Then will you not reason? And how many a city which was unjust have we shattered and produced after it another people? And when they, that is its inhabitants, perceived our punishment, at once they fled from it. Some angels said, "Do not flee, but return to where you were given luxury and to your homes. Perhaps you will be questioned." They said, "Oh, woe to us! Indeed, we were wrongdoers." And that declaration of theirs did not cease until we made them as a harvest mowed down, extinguished like a fire. And we did not create the heaven and earth and that between them in clay. Had we intended to take a diversion, we could have taken it from what is with us, if indeed we were to do so. Rather, we dash the truth upon falsehood, and it destroys it, and thereupon it departs. And for you is destruction from that which you describe. To Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and earth, and those near Him, that is the angels, are not prevented by arrogance from His worship, nor do they tire. They exalt Him at night and day and do not slacken. Or have they, that is men, taken for themselves gods from the earth who resurrect the dead? Had there been within them, that is the heavens and earth, gods beside Allah, they both would have been ruined. So exalted is Allah, Lord of the throne, above what they described. He is not questioned about what He does, but they will be questioned. Or have they taken gods besides Him? Say, O Muhammad ﷺ, produce your proof. This Quran is the message for those with me and the message of those before me. But most of them do not know the truth, so they are turning away. And we sent not before you any messenger except we revealed to him that there is no deity except me, so worship me. And they say, the most merciful has taken a son, exalted is he, rather they are but honored servants. They cannot precede him in word, and they act by his command. He knows what is presently before them and what will be after them, and they cannot intercede except on behalf of one of whom he approves, and they from fear of him are apprehensive. And whoever of them should say, indeed, I am a God beside him, that one would be recompensed with hell. Thus do we recompense the wrongdoers. Have those who disbelieve not considered that the heavens and the earth were a joint entity, and then we separated them and made from water every living thing? Then will they not believe?
Thank you.
That's-
Yes. And so this whole ayat number 1 to ayat number 33 is like a reminder, reminding us of the truth of the life of this world, which ends with ayat number 35. And we did not grant to any man before you eternity on earth. So if you die, would they be eternal? Here I want to read from Tafsir and Namuna, ayat number 334 and ayat number 35, a little bit of Tafsir. Every soul, kullu nafsin zaikatul maut wa lanabluwakum bisharri wal khair fitnata wa ilayhi turja'un. The pagans, Arabs, and raised various objections against our prophet that if he is the last and the seal of the prophets, he must not die in order to look after his religion, which he claims to last. Others said, let us be patient because his death will soon give an end to all of this. They had forgotten that duration of a religion or a school depends not on its founder. duration, Moses and Jesus had died long before, and their religions existed and exist thousands of years after them. This is because of divine religion depends on our everlasting Lord, who is its true founder, and not a prophet or a messenger, or messenger is not found on the message. Here is where the verse tells this sort of people in answer that we made not. So here it's ayat number 34 is, we do not grant any man before you eternity on earth. If you die, would they be eternal? So they were saying that if death comes upon him, then it's weak. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting us that the holy messenger and the prophets are here. It's like this ayat has this ayat is actually like a way to explain us that so the Anbiya are here for a purpose and a reason to guide us towards our own salvation, towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so they with us and then they die. However, what's important is this, that we made not eternal life for any human being before you. Then if you died, do they live forever? So living forever and eternity is not the goal of the life of this world. That's the important point. And that's what often we are enticed by the temptations of shaitan, even do this and this will be forever, and do this and your skin will look forever. Of course, no one's saying to not look after it, but this eternity, desiring eternity of the physical life of this world is not a desire to have, versus the wakulun nafsin dha'iqatul maut, versus that physical death is truly an opening, a way to the real life of this world. And so we have to all go through this tunnel or this tasting of death, which actually when we taste it, we quickly digest it and we go to a higher realm. What is the meaning of death? Death means going from a lower realm to a higher realm, when the soul becomes independent of the body. And so here, life upon this earth is not given to any creature without death. Very important point, that the true life comes only with going through physical death. So the Holy Messenger is known to say, die before you die. Die that death of the egoic self, and die to the egoic self too before the physical death comes you, and rebirth of the spiritual self. Spiritual rebirth is what we are invited to. Well, how should we go through spiritual rebirth and dying of those ignorance and the darknesses within? وَنَبْلُوَكُمْ, through the challenges and burdens of life, we are enabled to go, facilitated to go towards the spiritual rebirth. So challenges and burdens will come, and that's part of life. And challenges or burdens are not something which is chaos or haphazard. They are part of the system of God. Cause and effect, either is because of my recklessness or is because of someone else's recklessness that I go through the challenges, burdens, but it's part of the system. Well, you will be tried, but guess what? This spiritual rebirth is through this process of challenges, of burdens. And so there will be a test of bishad or khair. There'll be a test of ease or test of difficulties. Fitna is the fitnatan, the word here is very important, which means when a fatana, which means when a gold coin or gold is passed through a process which purifies and brings out its impurity, and then it brings out that gold when, so it's the process of purification required because with this. So what is the purpose of the challenge and the hardship? So that the purification happens, the purifying of what's within us, the purifying of the removal of the ego going into the inhalation, the God-centric mindset. And so this is part of life, وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ, and that enables and facilitates a true returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we all have to. So if you had to encapsulate this entire, purpose and life, and what is life, this one ayah just encapsulates the entire thing. Everybody should go through death. No one can deny that. And so before going through a physical death, we all yearn for a spiritual rebirth, which is what the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting towards. How should we? Guess what? It's already planned. You will go through challenges and burdens in life. If you go through it through Tawheed, the test of ease versus the test of difficulties, if you go through it, guess what will happen? Fitna. You will go through a process of purification, purifying, eliminating the spiritual vices through the through the spiritual virtues, coming to the spiritual virtues. And that is truly a homecoming, a returning, a pure returning. Life upon this earth is not given to any creature without death. Of course, it is our body that finally resolves into its constitute elements, a process that we all call as death. But the soul of a man will not die, and that its constitutes are not matter or material. In this period of life on this planet, we are all live on a probation. Here we are tested, challenged by fortunes and misfortunes as a trial, as a process for purification. Each challenge and burden in our life has a potential for our spiritual growth. If we interact with it through Tawheed, that determines our salvation. If we pass the trial with success, we should be lucky. Yes. So from ayat number, and when those who disbelieve see, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they take you not except in ridicule and mocking. Is this the one who mentions, insults your gods, and they are at the mention of the most merciful disbelievers? Man was created of haste. I will show you my signs, so do not impatiently urge me. And they say, when is this promise if you should be truthful, asking about the hereafter? لو يعلم الذين كفروا حين لا يكفون. And if those who disbelieve but knew the time when they were not avert the fire from the faces or from their backs, they will not be aided. Means humiliation, wanting something, not being, either they were like being rejectful with stubbornness, rather it will come to them unexpectedly and bewilder them. That's so true. Death and life of this world, no one knows what's happening in 2 minutes from now. So they will not be able to repel it, nor will they be able to reprieve it. And already were messengers ridiculed before you, but those who mocked them were enveloped by what they used to ridicule. We are our actions, and you can protect you. And who can protect you at night or by day? From the most merciful Rahman. And so, but they are from the remembrance of their Lord turning away. So what is this turning away? Ayat number 43. This turning away is turning away from Allah's attributes of Rahmaniyya. Rahmaniyya is the one who grants, the grantor of existence. So doing life Allah-lessly, doing life Rahman-lessly is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing to our attention here at number 43. Or do they have gods to defend them from other than us? They are unable even to help themselves, nor can they be protected from us. But on the contrary, we have provided good things for these believers and their fathers until life was prolonged for them. So Allah will give them out of His mercy the physical enjoyment of this world. And then do they not see that we set upon the land, reducing it from its borders? Is it they who will overcome it? So everything has a limit, everything has a destiny. And say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I am only warn you by revelation, but the deaf do not hear the call when they are warned. May Allah save us from spiritual deafness and blindness. And if as much as a whiff of a punishment of your Lord should touch them, they would surely say, Ya waylana inna kunna zalimin. Woe to us, indeed we have been wrongdoers. That if we were able to see the consequences of our actions, we would truly be accepting that every action. There's a hadith by the Holy Messenger which says that sins have an effect on the soul like a sharp knife when it passes through a soft, slender piece of flesh, meat. You know, when you pass that knife, how easily, if it's a sharp and a good knife, it easily cuts through. It's the sins, the actions of a human, it has an effect on our soul that way. Now, depends on what we, and now from ayat number 48 to ayat number 91, all the way is about, it's a reminder for us on 17 prophets, including our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam of Surah Al-Anbiya. Accountable is every action, ayat number 47, and we place the scales of justice for the day of resurrection. So no soul will be treated unjustly at all. And if there is even the weight of a mustard seed, وَإِنْ كَانَ مِثْقَالَ حَبَّةٍ مِنْ خَرْدَلٍ, we will bring it forward. أَتَيْنَا بِهَا وَكَفَى بِنَا حَاسِبِينَ, and sufficient are we as accountant. And that's such a beautiful Lord, that the one who's all wise, all merciful, all just is the one who is the transformer of our acts. That He doesn't even let go that smallest of even actions, atom weight of good that one does. And so on, and treated unjustly. So from ayah number 48 to ayah number 91 is a reminder through the narratives of the prophets. And why is it connected here? That the first half of the surah was about reminders about the reality of the life of this world and the reasons why there's heedlessness, the reasons that we just discussed. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give us inspiration, motivation, that look, the prophets went through their trials to their which was because of their nations, and how they dealt with it and how Allah constantly helped them. There is a concept the scholars explain about the prophets and the Ahlul Bayt, the Imams, that they are luminous barzakh. What do you mean by this luminous barzakh? That they are like the moons. What is a moon? A moon takes the light from the sun and shines it onto the planet and removes the darknesses of the planet, and then takes the darknesses of the planet and through its light removes the darknesses. And so the prophets are known to be these luminous barzakh. If anybody is interested, Dr. Farooq has done 3 talks many years ago called Islamic Messianism. It was like a game changer for me. It transformed my aqaid about infallibility, about the prophets, about the prophets' sin, because now we're going to read about them, that how the prophets went through their, difficulties because of their nations. And we easily say, oh, it's because Nabi Yunus, he got angry, he left the people, he left the Tabligh, and we associate the wrongdoings and to the prophet. And these 3 talks were just phenomenal. I mean, inshallah, I have the time to transcribe them. I would love to transcribe from my own self so I can learn, because I learned from writing. And so here he explains about this concept about the prophets and the imams are like these luminous barzakhs, like the moon, which takes guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through their spirituality, their rise, and takes guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through their miraj, and they shine light to the humans, to people, taking away their darknesses, and then going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through their spirituality and maraj, and receiving revelation, dhikr, and protocols from mankind. And so if you're to encapsulate this ayat number 48 to 91, it talks about the luminous barzakhs, the luminous prophets, which enabled and helped us going through their spiritual wayfaring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, receiving guidance from Allah, protocols for us. So that means there are protocols for our spiritual wayfaring in this section 48 to 91. And let's read. Yes. So who would like to read from ayat number 48 to ayat number ayat number 86? 48 to 86. Zehra Jiraj, please go ahead.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And certainly we gave Musa and Harun the Furqan and a light and a reminder for those who would guard against evil, for those who fear their Lord in secret, and they are fearful of the hour. And this is a blessed reminder which we have revealed. Will you then deny it? And certainly we gave to Ibrahim his restitute before, and we knew him fully well, when he said to his father and his people, what are these images to whose worship you clave? They said, we found our fathers worshipping them. He said, certainly you have been, both you and your father, in manifest error. They said, have you brought to us the truth, or are you one of the triflers? He said, nay, your Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, who brought them into existence, and I am of these who bear witness to this. And by Allah, I will certainly do something against your idols after you go away, turning back. So he broke them into pieces, except the chief of them. They have that happily they may return to it. They said, who has done this to our gods? But surely he is one of the unjust. They said, we heard a youth called Ibrahim speak of them. They said, then bring him before the eyes of the people. Perhaps they may bear witness. They said, have you done this to our gods, O Ibrahim? He said, surely some doer has done it. Some doer has done it. The chief of them is this. Therefore ask them if they can speak. Then they turned to themselves and said, surely you yourselves are the unjust. Then they were made hang down their heads. Certainly you know that they do not speak. He said, what do you them serve besides Allah? What brings you not any benefit at all, nor does it harm you? On you and on what you serve besides Allah. What do you not them understand? They said, burn him and help your gods if you are going to do anything. We said, O fire, be a comfort and peace to Ibrahim. And they desired a war on him, but we made them the greatest losers. And we delivered him as well as lust, removing them to the land which we had blessed for all people. And we gave him Ishaq and Yaqub, a son's son, and we made them all good. And we made them imams who guided people by our command, and we revealed to them the doing of good and the keeping up of prayer and the giving of the alms, and us alone did they serve. And as for lust, we gave him wisdom and knowledge, and we delivered him from the town which brought abominations. Surely they were an evil people, transgressors. And we took him into our mercy. Surely he was of the good, and knew when he cried, effort time. So we answered him and delivered him and his followers from the great calamity. And we helped him against the people who rejected our communications. Surely they were an evil people. So we drowned them all. And Dawood and Suleiman, when they gave judgment concerning the field, when the people's sheep postured therein by night, and we were bearers of witness to their judgment. So we made Suleiman to understand it, and to each one we gave wisdom and knowledge, and we made the mountains and the birds to celebrate our praise with Dawood, and we were the doers. And we taught him the making of coats of mail of you, that they might protect you in your wars. Will you then be grateful? And we made subservient to Suleiman, the wind blowing violent, pursuing its course is caused by his command to the land which we had blessed, and we are knower of all things. And of the rebellious people, there were those who dived from him and did other work besides that, and we kept guard over them. And Ayub, when he cried to his Lord, saying, harm was afflicted me, and thou art the most merciful of the merciful. Therefore we responded to him and took off what harm he said, and we gave him his family and the like of them, with them a mercy from us and a reminder to the worshippers. And Ismail and Idris and Zulkifl, all were of the patient ones, and we caused them to enter into our mercy. Surely they were of the good ones.
Thank you, Jazakallah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Zara.
Okay.
Really beautiful.
Okay.
Really appreciate you taking
you.
our time and volunteering. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Jazakallah. And so from this, if you notice, this whole entire passage is about how the prophets went through their trials because of the people and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves. If you go back to ayat number 78, and when Prophet Dawood and Prophet Sulaiman, when they judged concerning the field, when the sheep of, inshallah, if we come in Surah Sad, which is Surah number 38, and now we're on Surah number 20, 21 and 22, inshallah, we reach Surah Sad. I will explain in detail about the judgment of Nabi Dawood and Nabi Sulaiman. But if you are more interested in keen, hear these 3 talks in Islam by Dr. Farooq on the prophets and their trials, and were they really trials and miswrongings that they did commit themselves, or what was this whole thing about this judgment? It says that Prophet Dawood was in his prayer, and it was a separate time. I don't know if I don't know if we will reach. Maybe I'll leave it for. I leave it for Surah Sad, inshallah, when we come. And so here, if we go forward and ayat number 83, and mention Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salam, when he called to his Lord, ayat number 83, indeed, Rabbahu inni massani ad-dhur wa anta arhamar rahimin. Indeed, something has touched me, and affliction, difficulty, he went through physical ailment of the skin, and then Allah subhanahu, look at the beautiful husn zan that he still holds with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you are of the merciful. So it's not that you have done this to me or I'm blaming you, versus what we read previously about shaitan, that there was a blame against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you misguided me. But here, the difficulty is not looked in and of itself that, oh, Allah is giving me punishment and azab and all of that. It's more of that this has happened and I see you and I am hoping to you and I see you as Arhamar Rahimin. And then look at this, what happens. فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ. So the fa, when we were doing Arabic grammar, I'm a very weak student of Arabic grammar. It's fa means fa 40. So we responded instantaneously. So here it's like to get excited that our du'as are accepted. If there's an etiquette of dua here, is to have a good opinion of Allah. And here the famous hadith of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is this, that I lie in the opinion of my servant. If there's a good opinion of servant, hope for good fate. And if you have a different opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that fate is the cause and effect. So here with his beautiful good opinion of Allah, that this has inflicted me and I know you are Arhamar Rahimin, that what happened, kashafna ma bihi, and then we responded to him and removed what was afflicted him of adversity, and we gave him back his family and the like thereof with them as a mercy. Now, was there an ill? Was there a reason? What was the reason behind Hazrat Ayyub going through this illness? Was it because of his recklessness? What is his sin? If you want to know more about it, do hear the talks. Maybe I might touch on Hazrat Ayyub in a forthcoming surah. I know there is, I'm forgetting the number of the surah and the name, but I know there is more mention about Hazrat Ayyub in another surah. I think it's in Surah Saad only, if I'm not mistaken. But we will discuss it more, that about the prophets. The prophets are sinless, they're infallible. And that's the first step towards prophethood, is that you have to be sinless and infallible and pure. And what is the rational understanding of infallibility? I will send few clips even. The class time is not enough to go into details of that. But the first step is they can't sin. So it's not the reason of the sinning that they have got, because either because of recklessness. There's a higher wisdom for him to go through this trial, and then through this trial he attains his Miraj and receives protocol for the people. And this protocol, this Miraj that receiving was what? This dua that he received for the people to give them, that when difficulties come, anni massaniya, that when something me, something touches me, wa anta arhamar rahimin, holding on to a good opinion of Allah. Husn zan billah is a beautiful spiritual tool, which is not very much addressed. What is the meaning of having a good opinion of Allah? Inshallah, we'll do it in Surah Sajda, more so about it. Surah number 32. And min indana wa zikra lil abidin, and we gave him back his family and the like of with them as a mercy from us and a reminder of the worship. Ubudiyya is the one who is in servitude to Allah, understanding his nothingness and the might of lordship. And so much to say here, but this is a little little piece of how the messengers would go through their trial and go through a Miraj and receive protocols for the people, like the moons. وإسماعيل وإدريس وذي الكفيل كل من الصابرين. And so they were found to be holding on to faith. And وَأَدْخَلْنَا فِي رَحْمَتِنَا إِنَّهُمْ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ, and they were amongst the Salihin. Now comes the most sublime ayats, the sublime protocol of Nabi Yunus alayhi salam, which so many people have spoken about. So much has been said about Nabi Yunus. The Zikr-e Yunusiyya, this is the famous Zikr-e Yunusiyya that we recite in the Salah of Kufela. We recite, there is the Urafa, especially the spiritual Gnostics, the Irfan, the people who are, they especially give this, this prescription for spiritual purity, spiritual, let me first explain to you a little bit about Nabi Yunus, and then I will speak to you about a little bit about this protocol, this Durood Yunusiyya, and how it has a sublime effect on the soul. And mention the man of the fish, وَذَنُّونَ إِذْهَابَ مُغَاضِبًا, and when he went off, so ghazab, now what is this ghazab? And can a prophet get angry with his nation? And it sounds like he's angry with his nation and he's escaping from Tabligh and he's going away. But this anger was not what we think of an anger of people who sin, like you and I, we sin and then we get angry and then we want to leave people, we want to isolate people, and we want to go away. This is a holy messenger. This is a prophet who's infallible. So this was not that anger that you and I have against people and their wrongdoings. This is an anger for the injustices which was made in the nation by the people going against, being stubborn against the remembrance and the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and thought we would not decree anything upon him, means that he went into, he left his people, and leaving was not that escaping of, I'll send you my notes even on this, that it's not that escaping that, out of cowardness or anything. He was the perfect human being at that time, and that's why he's a prophet, and that's why people were asked to follow him. So in his perfection, when he got the news that now this nation will be will have punishment, will come punishment upon them, his leaving was not at par of any leaving out of anger and like leaving, escaping Tabligh, not at all. His leaving was simply, now the punishment is coming, and then he left. And he still invited people while he was leaving, but no one paid heed. And then we know how he went into the boat, and then there was a lotting system, and they had to throw out some people, or else their boat would have drowned because there was a storm. And then the whole story continues. And please hear the talk on Nabi Yunus. There's no time for me to share that clip even today because we have to do Surah Hajj as well. And so, أَنْ لَنْ نَقْدِرَ عَلَيْهِ فَنَادَ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ. So this zulamat, the people say here, the scholars say here, that in darknesses and darknesses means what darknesses? That reciting this Zikr-e-Yunusiyya should be in the darknesses of the night, means after Isha Salah, anytime after Isha, you can do this azkar in a form of an azkar, and I'll just come to it how to do it. And till time of Fajr, you can do a 40-day, this 40-day, or you can continue it and make it a part of your life. How to do it, how many times to do it, I'll just explain about it. But remember, so he was fine by leaving. There was no wrong on his leaving. But when you compare it, his infallibility to the infallibility of our holy messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's the seal of prophets, then we can say that yes, in comparison to the holy messenger, he should have not left. But at his time, he was the best prophet, and he was the best perfect prophet, perfect human being at that time. And so leaving was at par with the perfection that he had, with the infallibility that he had. So in that regard, scholars say that it was not the best according to the holy messenger's standard of prophethood, but he was the best prophet, and we are not there to disrespect any prophets of the Quran. And so when he left, he went into his Miraj, like how Nabi Musa was called to the mountain to leave and spend his days in worship, and he was revealed he was revealed Torah through his Miraj. When they go through this Miraj process, and there's also a talk on Miraj by Dr. Farooq, very interesting too. And so when they go through this, they receive protocols. They receive spiritual guidance that they can go back and give to their nations. And so Prophet Yunus, Nabi Yunus alayhi salam also received these sublime dua guidance in a form of a dua and the dhikr. And so when he received this is because of his spiritual growth, because of his spiritual mirage that he had. When he received it, he gave for the people's spiritual illness. And so the benefits of reciting the dhikr, of dhikr Yunusiyya is this, that it's deemed the best for spiritual wayfarers. And it's according to Mullah Hussain Quli Hamadani, which is a very esteemed Urafa Arif, he says that the purpose is for the reforming the heart, correcting, granting the life to the heart. Remember, we are all looking for spiritual rebirth. This is the scar to cling on to. Correcting the, granting the life to the earth, enhancing our spirituality. Where would we have got all this if it was not for the beautiful, sublime characters of the prophets? When they go through their Miraj and they receive this, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding the Holy Messenger that this is what happened to Yunus, and he received through his darknesses, through his Miraj, he received these protocols and he gave to the thing. And so what does this mean? La ilaha illa ant. Remember the whole Samadi Tawheed that we talk about constantly. There is no God. There is no existence other than Allah. Everything is dependent on it. We are nothing but just manifestors, manifesting his attributes. La ilaha illa ant. Subhanaka. Free is he. Subhanak means free is he from all deficiency. Inni kuntum min al-zalimin. Indeed I am. So when Nabi Yunus was saying he's zalim, he's not zalim of the wrongdoers. He was given this protocol to give it to his people that you are doing wrongdoing, seek forgiveness and cling on to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Yunus can't be wrongdoers. It's attributed to the people. He is a masoom. They don't sin. And this has to be sorted if we believe that the prophets sin of the Sharia Mazillah, or even sin generally. They don't sin. So the Zalimeen is of a higher status. Like for them, it would be something, a good deed for us would be like a zulm for them. For us, it would be okay to, just spend time and do something frivolous. For them, it would be zulm on themselves. In that regards also, and this regards also, that the Zalimeen is the wrongdoers, you and I, and his nation was being addressed. And so how do you do the Dhikr Yunusiyya? So remember, it has to be done in Zulamat, time of after Maghrib, Isha, Salah, after Maghribain, reciting it in long sajda. So it's highly recommended to do long sajdas, especially uttering Zikr Yunusiyya. It's highly recommended. And how should you do it? The effect of Zikr Yunusiyya, which will be on your soul, will be that it will reform the heart, correcting, granting life to the heart. But we need to have patience when we are going through the zikr. So how long should we recite the zikr in our sajdas, in our sujoods, in our sajda? I'm going to refer to, but I'm going to refer to Dr. Farooq's meeting with Ayatollah Bahjat, that I am just quoting what he says in his talk, when he met Ayatollah Bahjat personally, and he said, give him a protocol. So he said, recite the dhikr, and he said, for how many times should I recite it? He said, as long as there's huzur-e-qalb. Don't go on how many times and how many 100 times, 400 times. Don't go on to that. Recite it as much as you have the presence of the heart. So there are three prerequisites. Number one, in the darkness is after Maghrib Salah till Fajr time, anytime you require, anytime that you have the presence of the heart. Number two, and the composure of the heart. And the presence and the composure is one thing. And number three, and the most important thing for how to do the dhikr, the third and the most important is understanding what we are reciting. So how does it go? Oh Allah, la ilaha illa ant. Oh Allah, I am constantly dependent on you. You are all existence. Inni kuntum min al-zalimin. That indeed I have wronged myself. Not only Sharia wrongs, but I have wronged myself by concealed shirk, even my this, my that, taking things as mine and not seeing them as yours, and I'm only a safekeeper. That's also zulm. And that you are free of every defect. There is no wrong. So whatever happens is perfect. It's just that I am unable to attribute it to you, and I see myself and I go into the wrong. So what I do is, when I am just sharing with you, how do I keep the focus of my heart is that I go back to the zikr whenever my mind takes me away, wherever, go back to the zikr. But I also, it helps me, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, just as a friend to a friend, I'm sharing this with you, is that I keep the audio, the course. In the course, Dr. Farooq has done detailed explanation, tafsir of this, 3-4 minutes. So I keep that 3-4 minute clip open while I recite, so that I have that presence of the heart and that I am understanding what I'm saying with. And when I know that my presence is going away, even though the clip is going on, I stop, because the presence of the heart is not there, and then it's just some words which will have no effect. But disclaimer here, don't let shaitan tempt you with laziness. There's a difference between presence of the heart is there and you're understanding what you're reading, but there's laziness versus generally now my heart has had enough and my concentration is no longer there, and you stop, and you will truly, truly see the effects on your heart with reciting the dhikr. It's truly sublime. Yahan tak ke people say that spiritual wayfarers, the Gnostics say that you can't acquire any form till their barzaki eyes would not open up with the help of the dhikr. They would not allow them to go a step forward. I'm not saying that it's part of the course that we did called the Invocations of Islam. So much to say on this, but say the benefits are that it saves from veils which block our spirituality. It relieves and security from distress. His distresses have degrees. And so the Prophet had different distresses that they were going through. We have our different distresses. It saves us from oppressors, fulfillment of needs. So there is a lot of khair in this, and we want loud salawat for Prophet Yunus to be able to guide us through the Holy Messenger. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad fastajabna lahu wa najjaynahu min al-gham. So Allah is promising you that we will grant them nijat from the gham, the distresses and relief. This is an automatic benefit that is said in the Quran. Wa kazalika nunjil mu'minin. And thus we do this for the believers. And then there is and mentioned Zachariah, where he called to his Lord, my Lord, do not leave me alone with heirs. We've done this about the inheritors. And we responded to him, and we gave in to him John and amended him from his wife. Indeed, they used to hasten to good deeds and supplicate us in hope and fear. Two beautiful aspects of dua, which is raghban wa rahaban, which we were just talking about right now. The presence of the heart, imploring Allah, invoking him with the raghban wa rahaban, means with the presence of the heart. If you look at the word hope and fear, with this hope and fear, with the khashya, with the awe of knowing the maqam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he is the transformer of hearts. With this, we implore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this azkar, and mention the one who guarded her chastity, who Lady Maryam salam alayhi. We blew into her garment through our angel, and we made her and her son a sign for the world. This blowing in is not like a blowing, but blowing the life, her spiritual wayfaring, the spiritual life that she was blown into by the angel that she saw, and then life came within her, which was Nabi Isa. And now from ayat number 94 is also so beautiful, and that is, don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. Why? You might not reach the outcome of all this azkar, all the Quran that we do. Now Ramadan will, we're ending, I'm so bad saying this, that now this holy month is leaving, although it doesn't leave us, but the benefits of this month are going to, we are going to be leaving it, and Eid will come in. But this ayat gives a lot of hope. And what does it say? For ya'amal min as-salihat. So whoever from the salihat, it's very important here, whoever does good deeds, righteous deeds. From this righteous deeds means min as-salihat. It doesn't mean that whoever does righteous deeds, yani all of it. From the righteous deeds, Allah knows that whoever can do from the righteous deeds, not all of them even, wahuwa mu'min. But what's most important, what's the prerequisite is you have to have good deeds, have to be stemmed from iman. So righteous deeds, from the righteous deeds, whatever you can manage to do, if you do it with pure intent, that the intent of qurbatan lillahi, Allah, I want to come close to you, Allah, I want your love for you and you alone, without, minas salihat, the verse says is something of the good deeds. Some good deeds based on faith will still be appreciated if it's done with good deeds. Number 3 is what? That fala فَلَا كُفْرَانَ لِلسَّيِّئَةِ, that Allah will not conceal the efforts. So beautiful this. Kufr means to conceal. The opposite of kufr is shukr. Shukr means to give thanks, right? So Allah will not conceal, will not reject or conceal the sa'iya. Allah is not saying here that I will not conceal the outcome of your good deed. Your striving is being appreciated here. That it's what's important is the effort is rewarded rather than the achievement. So this effort that you're putting in every day, connecting with the Quran, imploring to Allah, invoking, now these big nights are coming, the special nights of Laylatul Qadr are coming, the efforts. Remember, the outcome is in Allah's hands. The effort that you put in the sajda of reciting the dhikr, don't attach it to the benefit of why am I not getting in the outcome. But Allah is saying, Sa'ya, that I am appreciating, I'm mashkur. I'm the one who appreciates your efforts. So Allah is saying, I'm gonna appreciate your effort even from the little of the good that you do. And all the efforts recorded. So rather than achievement, all the efforts are recorded, not just the final result. And so he appreciates the efforts and believers. So we should also appreciate the efforts of believers in the line of this ayat and thank the others. It's the efforts. Sometimes we see our children, even they're trying for the fast and they're like, oh, I can't wait for Ramadan to go. And then we, including me, attack them and say, don't say this is a mercy from Allah. And we go on a rant of, Amal bin Maruf, how can you say this? But maybe just simply, I call myself out first and just saying, Allah is appreciative of efforts. Your efforts will not be wasted. It's amazing what you're doing. So at their level, appreciating the efforts. The outcome is in Allah's hands. He is a transformer of hasanat and he is a transformer of yubaddil as-sayyi'at to hasanat. He is a transformer truly. And so this ayat gives a lot of important messages, and that I brought to yourself, that Allah gives an encouraging promise. Efforts are acknowledged and rewarded. The process matters, and leaving the results to Allah. Striving and efforts will be appreciated. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that in Surah, we've done it in Surah Bani Israel in ayat number 19. You can write a reference to this ayat, that kana sa'yuhum mashkura, that Allah is indeed the one who appreciates your efforts. And so may we also become the ones who are manifesting Allah's attribute of shakur, the one who appreciates, that we even appreciate people's efforts and not put our eye on the outcome and say, you've done so much and why isn't the outcome like this? And our outcome is on Allah. But it's the efforts which is important. May we truly become people who appreciate people's efforts and appreciate and one who are thankful and appreciators. And it is prohibited to the people of a city which we have destroyed that they will ever return until when the dam of Gog and Magog had been opened and they from every elevation descended. So this is the time where we done this in Surah Al-Kahf about Yajuj and Majuj who were attacking these people, the city, and how Zulkarnain was a just person of Allah who helped them. But remember, the batini meaning of Yajuj and Majuj is what? The faculty, the conquering faculty, and the faculty of desires. So Allah save us from these the faculty of anger, the conquering faculty, and the faculty of desires which overcomes us, the desire for pleasure and all, nothing bad, but may we all do it in balance. And when the true promises, the resurrection has approached, then suddenly the eyes of those who disbelieve will staring in horror while they say, oh, woe to us, we had been unmindful of this, rather we were wrongdoers. Indeed, you disbelievers, what you worship other than Allah are firewood of hell. You will be coming to enter in it. Had these false deities been actual gods, they would not have come to you. وَكُلًّا فِيهَا خَالِدٌ لَهُمْ فِيهَا زَفِيرًا. From them therein is heavy sighing, and they therein will not hear. Indeed, those for whom the best reward has preceded from us, they are from it far removed. La yasma'una hasisa. They will not hear its sound while they are in that which their souls desire, abiding eternally. They will not be grieved by the greatest terror, and the angels will meet them and say, this is your day which you have been promised. Yoma, the day when we will fold the heaven like the folding of a written sheet for the records. As we began the first creation, we will repeat it. That is a promise binding upon us. Indeed, we will do it. وَعَلَيْنَا Inna kunna fa'ilin. Now ayat number 105, and we have already written in a book of palms. Walakat katabna fi zubur. What is zubur? Zubur was the book, or zubur actually in Hebrew means book, revelations which were revealed to Prophet Dawood alayhi salam. And so what has Allah written in Zubur and the previous mention? If you look at your ba'da dhikr, and the previous mention here means the book of Nabi Musa, because Nabi Musa revelation and Torah was revealed before Nabi Dawood's book, which was Nabi Dawood's revelation, which was Zabur. Just a marginal point here that Torah and Zabur are different from what Quran is to us. They were like Hadith Qudsi, which was revealed onto the Prophet's hearts, onto the Prophet, and then in their words, they would say what is revealed to them. But the Quran is different, and the revelation of our Holy Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his Miraj is different because the words were revealed. Exact these words, Al-Ard, Yarithuha Ibadi, As-Salihun, exact words were revealed, and the Holy Messenger reiterated the exact words which were revealed to the Holy Messenger's heart to us. So it's not like a concept and then the Holy Messenger speaks to us that concept through his words, through his blessed words, which is Hadith Qudsi. But the previous books were different. If you want more about it, I can send you a talk on it. And we have already written in the book. And what is written in these two books that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing our attention to is this. Anna al-arda yarithu. Indeed, we are going to make inherit. Who are we going to make inherit? From our servants. Who are God's servants? The ones who seek away from haram, do the halal, servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the salihun. Our servants, we will make them inherit. So maybe we be from amongst the helpers of the Imam in establishing God's rule on earth. This is about that time where Imam will reappear. He is here with us physically. It's just that we are veiled from him, that we are able to see, and he will be able to rule, and then the weak amongst the lands will be able to rule. So reward in the world for the righteous servants. They will one day establish the rule of Allah on earth and be its inheritors, and that's a promise. It's a promise by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's best that it's come in this surah. Rightly, it's come in this surah because this surah is talking about prophets and the trials which their nations gave. So Allah is promising that it's a promise, it's a done deal, it will happen, that the righteous will inherit and will rule over this earth. So may we be part. We might not be physically there when is the reappearance of our Imam Ajalallah Faraja, but when we pray that may our actions, and it's a different topic here about Raja. If you're interested, there are 10 talks on Raja, and I can message you those too. So may our actions and our strivings be part of helping Imam in his divine mission. And so we will be part of his, inshallah. So ayat number 106 to 112, the surah ends with a beautiful conclusion, which is a confirmation of the last of Allah's messenger, which is our Holy Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, with the final divine reminder to mankind. And what is this? Inna fi hadha la balaghan liqawmin abidin. Indeed, in this Quran is a notification for worshipping people. What do you mean abidin? The ones who do ubudiyah, the ones who devote, the ones who are subservient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a hadith by Imam Jafar Sadiq, which is given to Unwan Basri, and he says this, that servitude is three kinds. One, that they believe that they own nothing, and Allah is the owner of everything. Two, that they stay away from haram and do the halal. Three, that they don't plan other than keeping to the halal and staying away from the haram. They don't plan long plannings. They plan what is their duty to plan, and they don't plan so much more. They are the true abidin, the ones who are in ubudiyah, servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so how can we become a true servitude? To follow in rahmatil lil alameen. Wa ma arsalnaka illa rahmatil lil alameen. If you don't remember any ayats of this surah, remember ayat Durud al-Yunusiyya, and remember Rahmatil Alameen. That is in this surah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the Holy Messenger and says the Holy Messenger is but a mercy for all. Alameen means all creatures, not only humankind, but animal kingdom and all creatures. What is mercy? Rahmani of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who grants existence to his creatures, the grantor of existence. And that's why his Rahmaniya is universal. But his Rahimiya is in the form of the Holy Messenger, which is. So the Rahmaniya here is actually directing to the Rahimiya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the Rahimiya? Those who strive, Allah's mercy leads them through salvation. So the Holy Messenger is a manifestation of Allah's Rahimiya on this face of the earth. Whoever holds on to the Holy Messenger, there's a beautiful example that I read in Tafsir Namuna, I think, if I'm not mistaken, which it says, what does it mean? That it's like a hospital, you know, a mustashfa, it's a hospital and where you receive cure. So whoever is ill will go to the hospital and receive this cure. But what about the ones who are ill but don't go for the cure? So the Holy Messenger is related to as like the hospital, the one who cures the hearts of the spiritually ill. But the whole thing is to be connected with them, connected with him. And the best way to connect is to recite salawat and blessings in the Holy Messenger, and to understand what does the salawat mean. It is nothing but a beautiful encapsulation of our entire Iman. There's Tawheed in it, there's Adala in it, there's Nabuwa in it, there's Akhirah in it. And so if anybody's interested, I can send you a clip of salawat that when you're reciting your salawat 100 times after Fajr every day, and especially more so on Jummah, this blessed day, onto the Holy Messenger, you will receive the mercy of increase in your aqaid. So Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad ajil farajam. And so the Holy Messenger is an embodiment of mercy and showed us that to be spiritual is to be merciful. And that's what the whole aim of the Holy Messenger was this, that he showed us the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he showed us that truly to be merciful is to become, showed us that to be spiritual is to be merciful. Very important, I've written it down. What is the meaning of to be spiritual? Means to be merciful. Merciful to yourself by staying away from the wrong, doing the good. Merciful to be others, to be appreciating of their strivings. Kul innama yuha ilayya innama ilahakum ilahan wahid fahal antum muslimun. And that was the main aim, main goal of all prophets was Tawheed. Say, it is only revealed to me that your God is but one God, Tawheed. So will you be not the Muslimin, فَإِن تَوَلُّوا. But if they turn away, then say, remember we started the surah with turning away and then ending it with turning away. And I have announced to all of you equally, and I know not whether near or far is that which you are promised. Indeed, he knows what is declared of speech, and he knows what you conceal it. Remember we did that right in the beginning, and it's not repeated, but recounted to us again. And I know not, this is the Prophet's message coming to us, that the Prophet brings us to Tawheed, brings us to the understanding of accountability in ayat number 111. And I know not, perhaps is a trial for you and an enjoyment for a time. That remember, the life of this world is nothing but a means for a purification, and mata'un ilahin, short-lived pleasure. So may Allah enable us and enjoin us. Let us enjoy the long-lasting pleasures over the short-lived pleasures. Ilahi amin. Kul Rabbi ahkum bil haq. The Prophet Muhammad has said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, my Lord judge between us in truth, and our Lord is the most merciful, the one whose help is sought, al-musta'anu ala ma tasifun, against the which you describe. So we end this surah with these beautiful ayat giving us hope that Allah knows the hearts of humans, and he will deal with everyone with absolute justice. So may we be amongst the ones who follow in the footsteps of the Holy Messenger. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And now we come to the next surah, which is Surah Al-Hajj. Inshallah, whatever time we have left remaining. Sorry, I've pressed something which has opened to something else. Apologies for this. Okay. I don't know how to close this. Do you have access to my screen, Zamina? Okay, great. Yes, you're doing it. You're doing your magic. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Zamina. Go ahead. Go to Surah Al-Hajj. Go ahead, Zamina. Alhamdulillah. Yes. Surah Al-Hajj. Surah Hajj is a Madini surah. It was revealed just before the Battle of Badr. So it's addressing the disbelievers as well as the flourishing Muslim community. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya ayyuhan nas ittaqu rabbakum inna zalzala as-sa'a shay'un azim. Yawma tar'awnaha tadhal kullun. On the mankind, fear your Lord. Indeed, the convulsion of the final day is terrible thing. Can I request anybody to help me read from ayat number 1 to ayat number 14? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the 3 kinds of human beings. And then I will stop on ayat number 11. Yes, who would like to read?
I can read if nobody wants.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. O mankind, fear your Lord. Indeed, the convulsion of the final hour is a terrible thing. On the day you see it, every nursing mother will be distracted from that child she was nursing, and every pregnant woman will abort her pregnancy. And you will see the people appearing intoxicated while they are not intoxicated, but the punishment of Allah is severe. And of the people is he who disputes about Allah without knowledge and follows every rebellious devil. It has been decreed for him, that is every devil, that whoever turns on him, he will misguide him and will lead him to the punishment of the blaze. O people, if you should be in doubt about the resurrection, then consider that indeed we created you from dust, then from a sperm drop, then from a clinging clot, and then from a lump of flesh, formed and unformed, that we may show you, and we settle in the wombs whom we will for a specified time. Then we bring you out as a child, and then we develop you, that you may reach your time of maturity. And among you is he who is taken in early death, and among you is he who is returned to the most decrepit old age, so that he knows, after once having knowledge, nothing. And you see the earth barren, but when we send down upon it rain, it quivers and swells and grows, something of every beautiful kind. That is because Allah is the true reality, and because he gives life to the dead, and because he is over all things competent. And that they may know that the hour is coming, no doubt about it, and that Allah will resurrect those in the graves. And of the people is he who disputes about Allah without knowledge or guidance or an enlightening book from him, twisting his neck in arrogance to mislead people from the way of Allah. For him in the world is disgrace, and we will make him taste on the day of resurrection the punishment of the burning fire. While it is said, that is for what your hands have put forth, and because Allah is not ever unjust to his servants.
Thank you. And so comes ayat number 111, ayat number 11. I just wanted to go back to ayat number 7, where here it's talking, the surah starts with talking about the hour, the hereafter. And so often we know it rationally, but how do we reflect in a way that our heart accepts the hereafter? If our heart says, buddy, there's a hereafter and accountability, there is no way that the heart will then desire for other than godliness. And so here, if you read these ayats, when we were going in detailed tafsir of this ayat, I remember in our class there was a gynecologist and I think an ultrasound specialist, and they said, the stages of gestation, which has been particularly in specificity explained, is so accurate that how the fetus goes from the fetus to becoming an entire baby. And so here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining us through nature that many lessons can be learned about the hereafter. And it's nothing difficult to understand that from the small speck, it becomes into a baby, and then we are given birth, and then we are also going to birth our souls into the next world. However, also to understand that circle of life and through the gestation time. Very interesting. There's no time to go into details of this, but just a marginal point here. Ayat number 11 is about the different types of people here, and let me just bring on to my notes. And yes. So where are my notes? Ayat number 11 talks about different degrees of faith, and of the people is he who worships Allah on the edge, and if he is touched by good, he is necessarily let me just quickly pull down my notes for you. Who would like to read this note? I would appreciate if I can get a volunteer. It would be nice. Atika, if you're still with us, would you like to read this? So it's talking about ayat number 11, and I like the way how this is a website, the Academy for Learning Islam, and they sometimes have beautiful writings on different ayats of the Quran that I take help to make my notes. Would anybody like to read this?
I'll read.
Ji, go ahead.
Okay. People have varying degrees of faith. Some submit completely to God, accepting whatever He has decreed for them. Some have no faith at all, always questioning God's wills with skepticism and doubt. But there is a group that is in between, who has faith when things go well, but it diminishes when they are tried with difficulties and unpleasantness. Not only does it diminish, but according to this verse, they change completely, turning their faces away from God. It is questionable if this type of weak faith is faith at all. Is it conditional faith that only believes in God if He gives what is desired and expected from Him? Is it selfish faith, where faith in God is used to attain desires of this world? As believers, we need to ask ourselves and see what type of faith we have to find out if we fall in the category described in the verse above. Ayatollah Nasir Makarim Shirazi in Tafsir Namun narrates the story behind the revelation of this verse. During the time of the Holy Prophet, the dwellers of the desert would come to him and accept Islam at his hands. When they returned to their homes, if their fortunes increased with their livestock multiplying, sons being born, crops flourishing, then they would think that faith in God had brought them good fortune. But if things didn't go so well and the animals died, their crops withered, etc., they would attribute this faith that they had accepted and they would turn their backs on it. This is the faith that is described as being on the edge. People of all times could be guilty of having a similar type of faith. Faith is only genuine faith if we submit wholly, immerse ourselves in love and trust in God, not stand on the brink and only dabble our feet. Imam al-Sadiq says, know that no servant from his servants truly believes until he is pleased with what Allah does to him and with him from what he likes and what he dislikes. That truly is the meaning of faith.
Yes, really beautifully read. Thank you so much.
This is really nice.
Isn't it nice? I will forward this to everybody on the group as well. Also, Atika, if you're with us for a little bit more, I'm going to ask you again to read one more from another ayat as well. You really read well. Thank you so much. And so ayat number 11 is explaining to us different categories of people. And may we not be one of those who are standing on the edge, that if good comes to us, we're happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when difficulties come to us, for whatever reason, our recklessness, others' recklessness, that we start questioning Allah and we start attributing our virtues and we saying, oh, we're so good people, and why did this happen to us, and what not happened to us? And so accepting, like what Imam Jafar Sadiq is saying, being pleased with the destiny of Allah, knowing that it's not working against you, but it's not even a punishment, but situations and trials and tribulations are a means for our spiritual growth, and loving the work of purification, loving this, that through this, it's for my betterment and I can purify myself if I hold on to Samadhi Tawheed. Samadhi Tawheed is what will truly help us go through the trials and the fitna which come to us in our lives for purification. What is Samadhi Tawheed? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Everything belongs to Allah. Everything is of Allah's. I am nothing. And so if that beautiful ring which was lost, or whatever, whatever possessions that we have, if they are lost or they're taken away or whatever it is, now this is my challenge, this is my test, and how I can purify from this is, inshallah, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He brings to our mind, He makes us mindful of this. The degree we are closer in remembrance, the degree we keep on continuing with the remembrance, the degree we will be mindful and remembered, mindful at the time of difficulties. Yad'una min dunillahi, he invokes instead of Allah that which neither harms him nor benefits him. That is what is the extreme error. Yad'u liman dharrahu, he invokes one whose harm is closer than his benefits. What is the harm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking here about? The harm of wanting the short-lived pleasures of this world, the instant gratification, not seeing and understanding that everything has a cause and effect. And so whatever the reason is, it happened. Now, how do I go through it? Yes, I have to go to the doctor. Yes, I have to go to the bank manager, whatever the reasons is. But constantly the heart is connected with Allah, knowing that He is the best of outcomes. He is the best, the one who brings outcomes into, and this is my test. Inna Allah yadkhulul ladina amanu wa amila salihah jannatin tajri min tahtiha al-anhar. Inna Allaha yaf'alu ma yurid, and Allah does what He intends. Man kana yazunnu, and whoever should think that Allah will not support him, very important, in this world and the hereafter, let him extend a rope to the ceiling, then cut off his breath, and let him see, will his efforts remove that which is enraged. It's like a little imagery given to us to understand that cutting off your hopes is really of no use, because it is He who is the provider of all hopes. وَكَذَلِكَ أَنزَلْنَاهُ. Yes, from ayat number 15 to ayat number Maryam or Kulsum, whoever's in the meeting would like to read this from the sisters, from 15 to 23, please.
Appa, you do it.
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Whoever should think that Allah will not support him, that is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in this world and the hereafter, let him extend a rope to the ceiling, then cut off his breath, and let him see, will his effort remove that which enrages him? And thus we have sent it, that is the Quran, down as verses of clear evidence, and because Allah guides whom He intends. Indeed, those who have believed, and those who were Jews and the Sabians and the Christians and the Magians, and those who associated with Allah, Allah will judge between them on the day of resurrection. Indeed, Allah is over all things witness. Do you not see, that is, know that to Allah prostrates whoever is in the heavens and whoever is on the earth, and the sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the trees, the moving creatures, and many of the people. But upon many the punishment has been justified, and he whom Allah humiliates, for him there is no bestower of honor. Indeed, Allah does what He wills. These are two adversaries who have disputed over their Lord, but those who disbelieve will have cut out for them garments of fire. Poured upon their head will be scalding water, by which is melted that within their bellies and their skins. And for striking them are maces of iron. Every time they want to get out of it, that is hellfire, from anguish, they will be returned to it, and it will be said, taste the punishment of the burning fire. Indeed, Allah will admit those who believe and do righteous deeds to gardens beneath which rivers flow. They will be adorned therein with bracelets of gold and pearl, and their garments therein will be silk. And they had been guided in worldly life to good speech, and they were guided to the path of the praiseworthy. Indeed, those who have disbelieved and avert people from the way of Allah and from Al-Masjid Al-Haram, which we made for the people, equal are the resident therein and one from outside. And also whoever intends a deed therein of deviation in religion by wrongdoing, we will make him taste of a painful punishment. And mention.
Thank you. Just 1 minute here. I will, Kulsum, if you're okay, from ayat number 26 to 38 and a little bit, if you can read through it. So from ayat number 26 to 38, the rites of Hajj, which we've just come up on, I just wanted to comment a little bit on ayat number 23 and 24. Indeed, Allah will admit those who believe and do righteous deeds to the gardens beneath which rivers flow. They will be adorned therein with bracelets of gold and pearl, and their garments therein will be of silk. What are the rewards? Why are they being given this? They had been guided in worldly life to good speech. Al-qawl al-hudu means goodly speech, means rightly guided speech, and they were guided to the path of the praiseworthy, Sirat al-Hamid. What does this mean in tafsir? Conversations between human beings will also take place in the hereafter. In fact, one of the sources of joy will be the good and pleasant communications in heaven. The verse above has been interpreted by many scholars to mean that the words spoken in heaven will be pure and beautiful. The speech that is tayyib here means, look at the word tayyib here. Tayyib is that in which there is no ugliness or unpleasantness. So what if our speech is not tayyib, unethical, then how are we going to manifest that in the next world? It is what we take from here is that what we manifest. Nor does it have traces of falsehood. People will be guided towards a speech that is good, pleasant, and delightful. This means that Allah will facilitate and inspire it to them so that they are able to speak pure words. However, what is facilitated is something that we harvest here. The dunya mazaratul akhirah, the world of the life, is nothing but a farmyard where we reap and what we will sow. This will take them towards Allah, the praiseworthy. Who is praiseworthy? The one who has beautiful words will be then taken to the praiseworthy. It will make them reach the highest levels of inner purity possible for the soul. These good and pleasant words will include greetings of peace, from believers, from angels, and then the reference is given. I'll share this note with you. Glorification and praise of Allah. The verse before this one talks about the rewards believers will receive in heaven. This will include material comforts such as gardens, blazes of gold, garments of silk, but there will also be spiritual joy such as words that acknowledge the greatness of divine presence. There will be praise and glorification of God interspersed with pleasant talk with others. These words will nourish the soul and be the food and adornment of the soul. So do I really, the whole thing is here that do I enjoy staying with goodly words, or do I enjoy talks of slandering, backbiting, gossiping? And so these words will nourish the soul and will be the food and adornment of the soul. Let us recite these words to remind us of the importance of using good and pleasant words in our daily conversations. It is the type of speech in heaven. Make it part of your speech on earth to get a glimpse of how life will be in the heaven. And the sources is the Tafsir of Mizan and Namune. Yes. And now from ayat number 26 to ayat number 38 are the rites of Hajj. If you look here, these are the rites that we do in Hajj. Ayat number 26 with the ta'ifin, the tawaf, the qaim, the ruk'a, the namaz, and the som, the salah that we do in Hajj. It's all being guided towards us. How it's through worship and servitude that we can attain close proximity to Allah. Not only worshiping the physical worship, but the worship of being kind-hearted and appreciative and having goodly words amongst each other. Yes, go ahead. 26 to 38, rites of Hajj.
Shazia, I think Iram wanted to read that message.
Iram, please. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, Iram. Sorry if I was not able to see you. I'm sorry. 26 to 38. Maybe she's busy. Iram, if you're around. If not, then yeah, good. So
okay.
Maybe Iram.
Right. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And mention, O Muhammad, when we designated for Abraham the site of the house, saying, do not associate anything with me, and purify my house for those who perform tawaf, and those who stand in prayer, and those who bow and prostrate. And proclaim to the people the Hajj pilgrimage. They will come to you on foot and on every lean camel. They will come from every distant pass, that they may witness, that is attend, benefits for themselves, and mention the name of Allah on known, that is specific days, over what he has provided for them of sacrificial animals. So eat of them and feed the miserable and poor. Then let them end their untidiness and fulfill their vows and perform tawaf around the ancient house. That has been commanded, and whoever honors the sacred ordinances of Allah, it is best for him in the sight of his Lord. And permitted to you are the grazing livestock, except what is recited to you. So avoid the uncleanliness of idols and avoid false statement. Inclining only to Allah, not associating anything with him. And he who associates with Allah, it is as though he had fallen from the sky and was snatched by the birds or the wind, carried him down into a remote place. That is so, and whoever honors the symbols, that is rights of Allah, indeed it is from the piety of hearts. For you therein, that is the animals marked for sacrifice, are benefits for a specified term. Then their place of sacrifice is at the ancient house. And for every religious community, we have appointed a rite of sacrifice that they may mention the name of Allah over what he has provided for them of sacrificial animals. For your God is one God, so to him submit, and O Muhammad, give good tidings to the humble before their Lord, who, when Allah is mentioned, their hearts are fearful, and to the patient over what has afflicted them, and the establishers of prayer, and those who spend from what we have provided them. And the camels and cattle we have appointed for you as among the symbols, that is rights of Allah. For you therein is good. So mention the name of Allah upon them when lined up for sacrifice and when they are lifeless on their sides. Then eat from them and feed the needy who does not seek aid and the beggar. Thus have we subjected to them to you. Thus we have subjected them to you. Sorry, I'm lost. That you may be grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Is it in Allah yud'afu an alladhina amanu? Is it 38? Have we reached here? Yes. So their meat will not reach Allah, nor will their blood. This is about sacrifice. And something about Bakra Eid. Sometimes we mock the sacrifice of animals. And so it's not wajib, it's only obligatory for those who are going for Hajj and the ones who want to follow in the sunnat of, doing it, maybe people together. But this ayat comes in this, their meat does not reach Allah, nor does their blood. But what reaches Allah is the piety, the pure intent. Thus have we, and truly, thus have we subjugated them to you, that you may glorify Allah for that which He has guided you and give you good tidings to the doers of good. Inna Allah yuda'ifu an alladhina. Indeed, Allah defends those who have believed. Indeed, Allah does not like everyone. Allah yuhibbul kulla khawa'in. Kufur means the treacherous and the ungrateful. Now, ayat number 39 to ayat number 60 is a promise of divine assistance, but since our time is up, we will have to unfortunately start from here onwards, and then just a little bit of Surah Al-Hajj is left. Yes, just about 3 pages of Surah Hajj. So we'll start with that, and then we'll continue with juz number 18, inshallah. Just before I end, I wanted to just comment on ayat number 32, which is right here. Yes. Ayat number 33 is asking us that whoever honors the symbol of Allah. Now, this word sha'ir Allah here means, plural is sha'ira, where sha'ira. Sha'ir refers to those signs or marks that are a reminder of Allah and His religion. It includes anything, event, action that is remembrance of Allah and His code of laws for human beings. These are symbols that led human beings towards God. So anything in specific, like the Holy Messenger, like the holy sites, like the Quran, and all symbols like Safa and Marwa, part of the rites of Hajj, like the Kaaba. These are all spiritual, these are all holy sites and codes which help us to connect us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To venerate these signs is to understand their significance and to elevate its sanctity in the mind and heart. It means to magnify it more than just its outer significance. Regarding the sacrifice, for example, it does not mean the sacrifice itself should be big. Rather, the giving of sacrifice should be done with humility and insight, remembering the true philosophy behind it and then applying it. What is the philosophy of sacrifice? Learning to be able to sacrifice the ego within us. And there should be outer as well as an inner respect for the animals that is sacrificed for it is a symbol of the human being sacrificed for God. Because it is connected to God, it takes on a sanctified hue, and that is the true for all that is connected to God. Now, here is the most important part. Allah, فَإِنَّهَا مَنِ taqwal qulub. The taqwal qulub is very important here. Underline this part, that the taqwal qulub, sha'irullah, should give us this, the piety of the heart. What does this mean, the taqwa of the qulub? Taqwa of the qulub here means when a person is God conscious, he reveres that which is a symbol of Allah and His religion. Anything, may there be a point of Sharia that we don't understand, may we not mock it. It's something which is, we might not understand it, but mocking it means when we don't understand it, we put it down, and these are all symbols of Allah which connect us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So taqwal qulub means the one who reveres the symbols of Allah and His religion. Such reverence is a proof that there is taqwa in the heart. A person who loves someone will love all that connects to it and reminds him of it, the loved one. If I love my marhum father, whatever I have connected to him, I love it, right? And I will not want to ever mock it because there's an affinity, a love. These things, and of course my mother and all that I love, it's not only that, these things carry sentimental value, not because he loves them, but because of who they are connected to. Similarly, a person who loves and is conscientiously aware of God feels awe for all that is connected to God. Recite this verse to remind yourself of the importance of respecting the signs of Allah. It is a proof of God consciousness. We end here. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. ربنا تقبل منا. Oh Allah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us opportunities to be connected to your word. Rabbana hab lana min azwajina wa dhurriyyatina qurrata a'yun waj'alna lil muttaqina imama. That may make our spouses and make our loved ones, even the ones who are the coolness of our eyes, because indeed they are yours, and they also, that they may also be connected with your zikr. Ya Allah, let us be a good example to them. Let us be the ones who appreciate them and acknowledge them for their goodness. Let us not be the ones who deter others from your zikr and your word. Ya Allah, whatever we have read today, may it be a nur for us, a shifa for us in this world and the hereafter. Ya Allah, let the hereafter and the concepts of hereafter be completely facilitated in our hearts in a way that we don't only rationally understand it, but understand it with wisdom and knowledge, and follow in the footsteps of the Holy Messenger by being accountable for actions. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, today we read Zikr Yunasiya. Let this zikr become a regular zikr for us, where we're constantly reverting back to you, repenting with humility and with reverence of your Sha'irullah. And let these prophets always have a huge respect in our hearts. Let us understand the concepts of infallibility, and let us be respectful of their endeavors towards their nations. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. A request for a Surah Fatiha for all the marhumin, especially all the marhumin of the Holy Messenger's nation. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Thank you so much, ladies. May Allah reward you for your efforts, for your time, for your, pure, for your intents. May Allah make our intents pure with a goodly intent till the end, inshallah. We meet again tomorrow with juz number 18 and a little bit starting with the last part of juz number 17 of Surah Hajj, and then starting juz 18, inshallah. Fi amanillah, iltamas dua on these holy nights. Inshallah, we see tomorrow. Hafiz.